Yo, JD here, and as you can see, we are back on F1 22 as always, and today, this is my first experience playing Xbox on F1 22, and in this video, I'm going to be showcasing an entire 25% race around the Red Bull Ring at Austria. We're going to be starting in last place. I think it automatically puts you on medium tyres as well, and yeah, we're going to be showing exactly the whole thing, so hopefully that's something you want to see and you enjoy it. Please let me know, and yeah, we'll be giving my thoughts on as this race develops. And I know I probably say this every year, and I think I have, as we're just avoiding the carnage as usual, but I haven't felt this comfortable on an F1 game for quite some time. I think before this game, I'd say 2018 was probably the game that I felt my strongest on. 2019, 20 and 21 were okay for me, but I feel like F1 22 could be another F1 2018 in terms of my comfort and my performance. And in this race here, I think it shows that my race pace is definitely a level above than it was on the last game. And a lot of people in here, like Mark Salsa ahead of me, NXR Mark, who is in BRS, so I will be racing him this season, FLK, FA Arch. There's quite a few drivers in here who I'd say in last game we were pretty similar in pace, maybe even a tenth or 2 tenths or something like that. And I always like to use these races to see and compare myself against what the benchmark is. And yeah, at the moment I just feel like this handling model, because of how understeery it is and how you need to get the rotation with the throttle, how you have to manage the ERS as well, it's just really suiting me down to a T at the moment. So in this race you'll see how tactical we are in terms of the ERS, knowing when to push, when to go for it. Things I always say all the time, but I think things like this could hopefully really help you out, because I've said it many times before, it isn't always your raw pace. It's about knowing when to go for it, knowing when to be patient, knowing when to be aggressive, but being consistent and not driving faster than other people, but driving smarter than other people. And that's why I say again, in F1 esports, without naming names, I think there's only really maybe 3 to 4 drivers who realistically do have a chance of winning esports. Not because the others are not fast enough, they are certainly fast enough, but it's about making the right decisions in the key moments, and sometimes that does trump just pure raw pace. And you can see here so far being aggressive when we needed to be, so getting past Mark, and I'm going to try and follow FRA Arch through, because I know he's also quite a fast driver himself. And you can see we've still got 90% of ERS on board, so just making sure we're not overusing it, because it's just so easy to do in this game. And I know it's the word I use the most, but ERS really is your biggest weapon, so only use it when you know for sure you can get the overtake done, or you feel it's going to be the most beneficial for you to do. Just don't use it just for fun or to build up momentum. So coming off the exit here, not using it at all, just going to let these guys do it, and anticipating how much other people are using their battery as well. That's something you have to try and develop. And you can see here now we're using it a bit just to get that momentum, to really try and force these guys to use their battery. So go back to the racing line, and because of that, it's kind of caused a little bit of a caterpillar effect. And on the exit here, we're going to use it again just to get that run, and we've been blocked off ever so slightly. But now we're going to get past HL347, who's a regular in my lobby, so GG to him. Going to leave some room on the outside just about. We're going to use it once again to see if we can pick up this free position on Marisu, another driver in BRS who's incredibly fast, leaving some room on the outside. And now we get the move done up into the top 10, and we've managed to successfully follow FRA arch through, and we still have 60 odd % of the ERS available. So right here now, we're not really going to be in too much of a hurry to overtake. What I was thinking right here is that, okay, I'm just going to stick behind him, recoup that battery, let him use his, let him think I might be going for that overtake, and then try and save the battery. And then once we get quite close to RRL Josh up ahead, where we're going to be quite close to his DRS zone, that's when I will use it again. So on the exit here, we are going to be using it because I think we've already decided that this might be the right time. So we're going to go for this overtake and get the move done almost on the FRA arch. So he's going to go around the outside. We get slightly better traction. And let's see, is he going to give it a position? No, he doesn't. So we're going to go around the outside. And we managed to just carry that momentum around the outside. He's not going to go down the inside there. We left him room just in case. And the reason why I did that is because we actually caught up to these guys quite quickly. And I said to myself that if we could get in the DRS zone, if I get the overtake done on FRA arch and get the DRS on the cars up ahead, that will then protect me from arch, and then that will stop me from having to use so much of the ERS. And you can see, just because we've had to use the battery first couple of corners, we've gone down to 30 odd %. So we almost used half of our battery there, which is why, again, I always keep banging on about it, but it is absolutely essential. So I made sure that we were within the DRS zone of the cars up ahead before I went for the overtake. I'm going to use it again here now because this guy's red light is flashing, so I know he's under 10%. So I don't really have to use too much. Really crucial that I get this move done. I can't afford to be wasting the battery. Using a little bit here just to get that bit of momentum. And you can see we're down to about 20 odd %. But still within the DRS zone, very crucially, of the guy up ahead. So these are the things that I think about when I race. Like if I was behind arch and we have a 3-second gap to the guys up ahead and we were catching quite slowly, I probably wouldn't have overtaken him at all. I would have just let him drag me along while he uses all his battery, and then I just sit behind him. So yeah, hopefully that does make a little bit of sense. So we're going to sit behind this guy now, and let's see what we do here. So yeah, we're not using any of the battery, and it looks like he isn't either. So we are going to go for this overtake and get this move done. So it looks like he wants to try and get the DRS on the exit, but it is actually quite hard to get the traction off this corner, and I'm going to try and avoid using any of the battery. And since we got such a good launch, we really didn't have to use it at all. So the gap is now 2.2 seconds up to MV33 Red Bull with Goxley 25, who on last game, towards the end of last game, I would say he was probably faster than me in qualifying and very, very close on race pace. So this is a really good comparison to have now. And I'm going to try and actually close in without using the battery and ERS as much as possible. And again, please take a shot of something whenever I say ERS and battery, because you will be hearing me say it a lot in my videos, because yeah, I do think it's absolutely essential. And on the exit of this corner, we're not going to be using any battery, so I'm going to try and avoid using it as much as I can, because I want to have a good amount when I need it, if I need to overtake these guys up ahead. So right now I'm just focusing on getting the best traction possible from every single exit. And the good thing on this game is that the DRS really isn't that powerful. So as long as I get a good exit and they're not that close to me, then I should be able to defend my position without having to compromise my battery power at all. And you can see we are actually closing in on these guys fairly quickly and making a bit of a gap behind us. So I'm just giving it absolutely everything right now. And also to let you know that everyone is using the same setup here, so the lobby was turned to fixed setups, since this was my first time on Xbox and I hadn't actually loaded it in my setup as we get our second track invalidation there. So now we have to be quite careful. I've only done 50% of the race and one more, and I will be getting a 3-second time penalty, which does kind of put the brakes a little bit on my charge, because now I have to just be a little extra careful. So now I'm going to use the ERS now because I'm so close to the DRS zone. Once I get within a couple of tenths of the detection point, then that's when I will use my battery a bit more, because then when you're behind someone in the DRS, it's actually much easier to save the battery, since with the drag reduction system, the engine doesn't have to do as much work, so it becomes much more efficient at saving the battery. So that's why I just decided to use a little bit there, and we should be within the DRS zone of these guys. So I'm exactly where I want to be, and Josh is almost out of my DRS zone. So come through here, making sure we get a good launch off this corner so we get some good momentum, which we do. We get a very nice exit, and this car, not quite sure what's happening to him, and the guy behind is going to get out of my DRS zone, which is good for me as well. And the guy ahead of me, Goxie, his red light is flashing, so his ERS is very low right now, so it's going to be pretty much under 10%. So I know if I get quite close to him, it should be a fairly easy overtake. And you can also see, with the benefit of the DRS, we've been able to save much more battery this lap, since we have that aid for us. So right now I'm just going to stick behind, and I won't make an overtake on Goxie until I think it's going to be a pretty easy overtake, and once I've saved a little bit more of the ERS. But he actually decides to pit before we can actually make that decision, so we're just going to stay out for as long as possible, because there are tracks in this game where the undercut is very powerful, but I would say in quite a lot of tracks that the overcut is a viable option, because your tyres come out quite cold out the pits as well. So yeah, if you have a lot of ERS as well on the in-lap, if you push a lot of your ERS, then you could definitely make the overcut happen. So we actually have a good amount of battery on board here, as we're now 2 seconds ahead of FRA Arch, who also has a 3-second time penalty as well. Now we're coming up behind one of my regulars in my lobbies as well, Dynamo Dan, someone who I've actually had a coaching session with, who has improved quite drastically from the last game, so GG to him. I actually pulled to the right hand side here just to try and tempt these guys to go into the pits, and they do both go into the pits. So a little bit of a dummy there, which has worked. So I get the DRS again, and I have now taken the lead of this race. And I decided to go long because I had more ERS on board than the guys ahead of me, and what we spoke about, the overcut, I felt was actually a very viable thing, and plus I wanted a fresher tyre. So a combination of those three things is the reason why I've continued here. And yeah, in this race our pace has just been very strong, and yeah, it's been a while since I felt like this in an open lobby. Considering how hard it is to overtake in this game as well, we've actually managed to get through the field quite nicely. So right now I'm just keeping an eye on that gap to Brent in third place, because he's the net race leader, and I think he actually started on pole, and he's quite a quick driver as well. So while I was making this custom grid, I will get to know people who are a little bit faster than others. So let's see what we do here. We are going to go into the pits on this lap, otherwise we will be at risk of a slight undercut if you went for 2 laps longer. And yeah, I think I turned the settings so I didn't have to press the button to turn in, because at this point I didn't have a button that allowed me to do it, but now I know which button it is because I have remapped my wheel. So everyone has an equal pit stop here, which is good. So we just got to wait until we get to the pit stop line, and now let's see what happens here. So coming off the exit of this corner, Goxie did do actually a slight undercut us, but we have managed to get back out in the DRS zone crucially, so we haven't really lost any time at all, since we had quite a lot of ERS to use on that in-lap. And off the exit here, I can see he was actually paused for a moment, so he got a poor exit up here. So we're going to try and get this move done and leave some room on the exit. Get on the power once again. Really crucial that I get this move done, but he's going to go side by side, so we're going to do exactly the same thing as we did earlier in the race and get this move completed. Now I've got to try and get within the DRS zone of Goxie, because as I said before, it's much easier to save the battery in the DRS zone than it is without it. So you can see I'm really pushing like an absolute madman here, using all of the battery to get within that DRS zone, which we should be able to do now. So just focusing on getting a really good exit of this corner, so I don't have to use any to defend with, and we're going to be gaining closer and closer. So Red Bull is getting quite closely, but I don't think he's going to be quite close enough. And you can see just with our pace and just with one lap fresher tyres, we are closing in quite quickly. And you can see the race leader is actually not too far away now. So we're going to try and cruise up to the back of the slap bus, because I know Goxie has some good pace. So I'm going to try and use him to pull me along whilst I'm saving the battery, and then go for the overtake when we get pretty close to the DRS zone of the slap bus in P2. Because otherwise it just doesn't make sense to really overtake him unless I'm confident enough that I can get within that DRS zone by the end of the lap. But it actually looks like already that could be the case. So we're turning it off here because we don't want to cruise up too quickly to the back of him. And on the exit of this corner, do we use any battery here? The answer is no. It looks like he is, so but I can see his red light is flashing once again. So aiming to get a really good exit of this corner. He goes in a little bit deep as well. Now I think we might be using it because I know he's going to be suffering with the straight line speed. We've got to get this move done. So really crucial that we complete this one as well. And go to the inside, a little bit of touching. Use a bit here, but I know he's got absolutely nothing to defend with, so he can't even go side by side. And like I said before, we are within the DRS zone of the slap bus, which is exactly what I was aiming for. So I think we might stay behind him maybe for a lap or two just to recoup that battery again, because it's pointless getting up to the leader with no battery, because if he has any battery at all, it's going to be very easy for him to defend against me. So carrying through into here, let's see what we do on the exit. We get a pretty good exit, but I don't think we're going to be using any of this battery at all, as Goxley behind does have a 3-second penalty. So his red light is flashing now as well. So on the exit here, aiming to get a really good traction, which we do. But do we use any of the battery? We don't here, because I felt like I was already quite low as it is. So I'm going to try and do this without using the battery. So go around the outside. Really crucial that we complete this, otherwise we might not have a chance at the lead. And we don't use anything here, because I thought to myself, if the leader has any battery and I'm going to arrive at under 10%, there really is absolutely nothing we could do. So I was really reliant on trying to complete that move without wasting any of the energy. And you can see maybe getting a little bit frustrated here because we only have a couple of laps remaining. So just aiming to get as close as we can on the exit of this turn one. Just going to the inside a bit here just to avoid him trying to switch around before the DRS sign. And on the exit here, we're going to try and get this done without using it. So we use a tiny bit just to ensure that we carry that momentum. And now we're up into P2. So from last place up into P2 now. And yeah, we just got to hope that the guy ahead doesn't have any battery to use. So I'm going to try and catch him by the end of this lap. I think we do have a couple of lap fresher tyres, and we're just going to give it absolutely everything through these sequences of corners. And yeah, see, we are gaining, but we are not gaining close enough right now. And we don't use anything here because we know we're not going to be close enough to get it. And you can see that delta is going up, so it looks like he's using his battery. So I think since he had a bit of a lead in this race, and he actually said to me after the race that he was able to keep quite a lot of the battery just in case. We've got one more lap to do now, and we're almost under 10% battery since we had to overtake so many cars this race, and we're using everything here. But if you look at a Delta, yeah, he's got plenty of battery on board, and that's why I didn't push it with the sat bus, because I knew that even if I was a tenth behind him, if he just had more battery than me and I'm under 10%, then there's nothing you can do, because the DRS and the slipstream really just isn't powerful whatsoever. And you can see if we had one more lap, we would get within the DRS zone, but even then, since we have little battery, it would just make it absolutely impossible to overtake as well. And as I come through here, you can see I crack a little smile because I see him weaving on the track here, and going through the last two corners, we're going to give it absolutely everything, see how close we can actually get, and going across the line. Wasn't quite P1, but 20th to second. And yeah, I was really, really happy with the pace there, considering the lobby with the drivers we had as well, who I know are at a very good level and very competitive, and how hard it is to overtake on this game and keep the ERS. I was very, very happy with that drive, and I think my race pace right now is definitely at a different level than it has been in the last few years. So thank you so much for watching. I really hope you enjoyed watching that race. Please subscribe for more F1 22 content in terms of hot laps and setups, tutorials, league racing, streams, and many more things to come. So thank you so much. Make sure you check out www.coachlimitless.com for one-to-one coaching of me. Also, make sure you sign up to Bybit, because they will be releasing more F1 Paddock Pass giveaways for future Grand Prix. Thank you so much. Have a great day, and catch you very, very soon. Peace.